Hi, everyone. My name is Danielle Hawataria, and I'm the author of Uplift and Empower, a guide to understanding extreme poverty and poverty alleviation. In this interview series called #Doing the Work, I'm interviewing nonprofit leaders who embody the values of Uplift and Empower and are contributing to poverty alleviation efforts in their communities and beyond. In this interview series, I'm interviewing leadership from the Noah Mapalo Help Center. Thank you so much again for joining me. And to give everyone watching some context, could you please describe what the Noah Mapalo Help Center is and how the organization has been able to make an impact in the UK and in Zambia?
First of all, thank you very much for inviting me, for inviting Noah Mapalo Alaj to be part of this. My name is Priscilla Miatwa or Chishala Miatwa. I'm from Zambia, born and bred in Zambia. I came here in 2002. Yeah. And I started running the charity in 2012. And so Noah Mapalo is a non-profitable organization. I'm the founder of the organization. It's a non-profitable organization which was founded obviously by me in 2012. And the name Noah Mapalo comes from the Bible, Noah. Basically Noah, they said, one of my friends said, because Noah rescued people from the boat, and this is where we got the name from. My friend actually came up with that when I introduced what I wanted to do, my passion and my vision about Noah Mapalo. So she said, okay, why don't we use Noah? Then we thought, okay, there's a lot of Noahs in Zambia. I come from Zambia, or like I said before, and we said there was a lot of Noah Mapalos in Zambia. So why don't we put Noah as the hack? So Mapalo means blessings in Zambia. It's a name. Most of the people use Mapalo as a name, just like they use Lubuto. So that's a Zambian name. So Mapalo means blessings. So most people use it. So one of my friends here, she lives in Southampton. She said, why don't we use Noah? We put Noah in front because Noah rescued the people from the boat. And then we put Mapalo because Mapalo came from me. I just love the name because it means blessings. From a long time ago, I don't know how, but I just love that name. So I said we'll call it Noah Mapalo Help Center, where people can come and get help. And we are based in the UK and in Zambia. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And throughout Uplift and Empower, I write about the importance of eradicating poverty through community development. And I'm so glad to see that that's a core part of the center's work. So why did you decide to focus on alleviating poverty through community building? And what has your experience been like so far?
Our experiences as Noah Mapalo, like I said, we operate in Zambia and in the UK. So in the UK, we try and we do multicultural things like multicultural events where we bring people together, especially those coming from the ethnic groups, where we get together and bring this sense of belonging. In Portsmouth, I live in Portsmouth, by the way, in England, in Portsmouth. So we bring people together, we promote things like cultural barriers, isolation, we break barriers and try and tackle isolations, to also promote diversity, if you know what I mean. And also, by so doing, we do fundraising events for Zambia where we run projects. We fundraise from here, and then not all the events are fundraising based. Some of them are just free, but we do that to get people together. They say charity begins at home. So we do that together, and then we sort of like raise whenever we we raise funds. Those funds to Zambia for projects in our country. In Zambia, where I come from. Yeah. So not everyone else comes from Zambia in our group, and we because of what when I started this charity, I approached friends. I didn't start it as a charity. I was just there giving, helping Zambia. I'm not going to I'm not going to go into how it started because we're going to take the whole night, if you know what I mean. So I'm just going to say, yes, I saw the need in Zambia and I came back, shared with friends, shared with my church, and they started helping me. And they said, you look, you have a big vision. Why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? I'm like, no, 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 no. I can't do with paperwork. I don't want to go into this charity, whatever, names. I just want to help people. That's all. That's all I want to do. And so friends joined in. So we have it's a very diverse group. Noah Mapalo, we have people from Ghana, we have people from Nigeria, we have people from France, we have my vice, the one you've been talking to, she's half French, she's half Ivorian. So we are diversity. And then we thought, okay, uh, and they started helping. So I'm not sure if I've answered your question. What was your question again?
I muted myself so I wouldn't interrupt the audio. So I was asking a little bit more about how you've been able to focus on community development through your work, and you have spoken about it a bit. How you kind of were able to collaborate with your church. You've hosted fundraising events, etc. So I guess if you could share a little bit more about some of the specific projects that you've worked on. Like for example, you mentioned doing a lot of work in the health and well-being space throughout like your website and things like that. So maybe some of the core pillars of your work and how those have been aligned with the community focus that you found that you've had both in the UK and in Zambia.
Yeah, so basically on the work that we do here we try to reduce poverty. I mean, to reduce isolation. But in Zambia, we work on poverty. So we try to reduce poverty through the fundraisings that we do in the UK. So in Zambia, we help people, communities. I mean, not communities. We are now working with families and girls, children and families. I wouldn't just say girls because we also we don't want to leave anyone out. I mean, out of the like saying just girls, because normally boys are left out. So with communities and children, families and children. So we are working with families and children. So let's say, for example, sometimes we do fundraising where we say, okay, this money is going to the school. So whereby children are able to go into the school. And then because we know that when a child is educated, they'll be able to help their parents. Or sometimes we do empowerment of whereby we do things where we try to sustain the parents for them to help their children to go to school. Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And thank you especially for talking about your focus more on the entire family unit, and actually that kind of ties back into something else I wanted to circle back on that you mentioned earlier, that focus on your large vision. How do you balance between the vision you have for Noah Mapalo in the short term with your efforts in the long term as well? Like, how have you been able to find that healthy balance between wanting to work towards your large vision for this community focused development work in the short term, with your longer term goals too? Have you had challenges in the past trying to balance between the two? And how have you found that you've been able to, I guess you can almost word it as, find short-term solutions to some of those long-term problems that you really want to be focused on through your work?
So in the short term, Noah Mapalo at the moment, we finished we're working on the school. For example, we're working on the school in Baluba, which is a rural area in Zambia. It's in the middle of nowhere. So we're working on the school. We have put on the roofing, and we're also trying now to put in like toilets, but what we've achieved in that time is that because the roofing is there, because children were not able to go to school because of the rains. So, and we put in like desks. Someone donated desks from the United States, and we're able to transport those desks to the rural areas. And now we can see that children are able to go to school because we've put the roofing on, even though we still haven't got like things like proper windows, security, and toilets. We've had Miss British Scotland pageant who won last year, Coach Nyanta Kabaso. So she adopted our charity last year, and she went to Zambia, and she saw that there was a need as well for the toilets and other things like flooring, because children they used to sit on the floor, but because we provided desks as well, and we've achieved that whereby at least they can go in class, but even though they don't have things like the windows, toilets, but they can still go in class and have, at least they've got the roofing, where before they couldn't, because it would rain on them. So yeah, so that's the short term of things that we've done. We've also had one of our beneficiaries. I don't know if you want to show the masks, where we had the girls, a picture of girls who have been doing the sewing. One of our beneficiaries who've been learning how to sew, to make masks and pads as well. They've been one of the girls, I don't know if you have that picture where we have one of the girls, few of the girls standing, trying, not that one, the other one, where they were making masks. And then one of the girls has been able to actually give some money to the mother for her to start a business in the market to sell food. From the money that we gave her, because we were given what is it called? I can't say contract. We were given someone gave us an order to make masks from the United States for the hospital. Yeah. And then those masks, we said, okay, we'll pay some of the girls, because the lady from the States, Dr. Akwi, she just wanted to help us and support us. So we gave allowances. No one gets paid from our charity. So we gave allowances to one of the girls. And yeah, the mother benefited, and they are now making masks. And also, another example that I can give you is when I visited Baluba. Baluba is a place where we are doing the school, where the school is. So the center just means that's just more or less like the name of the charity as well. It's Noah Mapalo Help Center. But what we mean is that people can come to us and maybe get help as a center. Although we don't have a particular center, but we've got offices where we run things. So in Baluba, I remember when I go to Zambia every year. Unfortunately, I couldn't go last year because of the COVID. So when I went last year, the other year, no one knew about me, because like I said, I can't even go into details. People didn't know who this person was helping them, and they had no clue. So one time I was contacted by the counselor of the community to say, we want to see who's this person, who's helping, who's doing all these things. Because I was just sending friends and sisters to go, please go and do this and that, because I had that passion, and because I saw what was going on. There was a need in the community. And then when I went to Zambia, I went and visited that community, and I was called because there was a time we raised some money. We did a fundraising event here, which wasn't planned. I just woke up one day, I was thinking, we've got to do something. And I phoned them up, me and my few friends who joined me, 3 friends. So with 3 of us, 2 friends joined me. They said, wow, we like what you're doing, helping people in that area. So they came up and said, what can we do for Christmas? This was, I think, 2012. Yeah, that's when it started. Then I said, wow, we can buy them chocolates, buy them, for Christmas. And then I phoned up that place to say, okay, I know you want to see me. You've never met me. It's, and the counselor said, no, actually, we don't need the chocolates. We need the fertilizer. And that just woke me up and said, wow, people need to be empowered. Instead of buying them sweets, buying them chocolates for Christmas, they want to be empowered. So they said, we need fertilizer. so that we can grow our own foods. I said, wow, okay. And then in my own world, I woke up and I said, wow, okay, can I fundraise? I went to Google. Yes, you can fundraise, even though I'm not registered as a charity. Yes, you can fundraise. And I did it, and friends joined me, and we raised about 800 pounds. We needed 2,000 and something pounds, I think 2,400, but we raised 800 pounds. And that money was sent. What we said was people can share the fertilizer, and they shared. When I went back home, I visited that area because the counselor wanted to see me. Who's this person? We want to know this person who's bringing in things. So when I went in and he said, wow, there's a woman who wants to see you. I said, okay. I was like, oh my God, what have I done wrong? I haven't got any papers. And this woman said, oh, wow, are you the one who gave me food? Then I'm like, what? Me? Food? She said, yeah, come and see what I grew from the fertilizer that you said. I'm like, oh my God. So any little helps. That just encouraged me. And we continued now doing what we have to do. And when I came back with that to say, you know what? Any little can help somebody out there. And the woman had grown, she had put maize on the roof where she was going to now make, they grind the maize to make maize meal. Yeah. So she said, you are the one who gave me food. Come. I'm like, me, I never gave any food. What is this? What is she talking about? And she put the maize on the roof to dry so that when it's dried, then she can make maize meal out of that for her to eat with her children. So those are the long-term things that we've actually done in Zambia. But going forward, like in England, we bring the people together as a community. We've made friendships. We've also made people feel have that sense of belonging, because we not just we do events, but we bring people together, especially people from the African or Black minority or whatever you can call it. And also we have been recognized by the council, for our work. And so, it's we've been our group is very diverse. I'm from Zambia, but we have people from Ghana, we have people from Nigeria, and we have people from France. Like I said, we have people from here, British. So, those are the things that we've actually achieved in the short term. But in the long term, sorry, I think I'm lost a little bit there with the question that you asked me.
No worries. I think the stories that you shared are so inspirational, and I'm so glad that you shared what you did about like donating fertilizer versus chocolate. Because one thing I've been trying to share with people too through Uplift and Empower, but also after publishing as well, is just the importance of asking people what they need rather than it kind of imposing what you think they need onto them. So that conversation you had, where instead of just saying, oh, regardless of what we hear, we'll just send over chocolates. It's a holiday. Kids love candy. You really stop to understand, like, no, let's have an actual conversation. Let's get to know what would be the most helpful. And from there, you were able to donate fertilizer. And you didn't even realize the importance of the impact that you made until you were hearing from the people who benefited. And I think that's so absolutely incredible and so important that people recognize the value of just asking, having that conversation, listening to people, listening to their needs, and then responding to those as well. It's so impactful. And I love that story, and I'll definitely be highlighting that afterwards as well. Just the importance of just the simple question of how can I help you can go such a long way. So thank you so much for sharing. I think it's a great example of, a small thing that helps in the short term, but also has long-term implications as well. So it's great. Thank you.
It's more of like involvement, because sometimes we forget about the communities, and we were sort of like, oh no, I think they want chocolates. No, they said, no, we don't want chocolates. We were like, oh, we put soups, we put noodles for them to eat, but that was just going to last them for a day. But fertilizer lasted them a long time. It's empowered them. Yeah,
absolutely. And I'd love to hear a little bit more. So you mentioned that you were able to donate towards getting a roof built for a school. You put together the fundraising event to raise funds to donate those fertilizers. So you've mentioned a couple of times the different sort of projects that you've been working on, but could you talk a bit more about some of the challenges that you faced along the way, whether it had been through fundraising or finding people or connecting the dots between your efforts in the UK and Zambia, maybe any sort of setbacks or challenges you faced over the years and ways that you've worked towards overcoming those challenges too?
We have challenges, especially, for example, all of us, we are all volunteers in the UK and in Zambia. None of us gets paid. So the challenges are that, especially, I mean, for example, the website. Not, I mean, we have one of our ladies, the one you spoke to, who's been working on the website, on the media side of it, but she's the only one person, and we have mothers, we have wives, people. We can't just like okay, for example, it's very hard because we are more like mothers, wives, and we have other jobs to do outside the Noah Mapalo. And I just thank God that these guys are so amazing. They've never given up on me, and they've never given up on the Noah Mapalo Help Center, because I think this is how I feel like they've believed in me and they've believed in the charity itself. They do extra work, and the challenges are, even though we can't really meet up, like the website, if you can look at our website, we're still working on weeks. Sometimes we can't even update what we're doing because everyone else is busy. It's a charity, it's voluntary, in as much as they will try their best, but it's just difficult sometimes. I have to actually fund some stuff myself, like in Zambia. I had to find someone to run on the social media, on the Facebook page, not because we just wanted to run, because sometimes if you don't pay anyone, it doesn't just work. So in a business, you have to put in some money, and I've had to fund some stuff because Noah Mapalo, like now, with the situation at the moment, we can't really, because we depend on fundraising events, we can't really do those things at the moment because of what's going on. And it's been a challenge. Yeah, it's been a challenge. But because sometimes I just feel I want this to work, and I know someone else out there will benefit from what we're doing, and will say, okay, Noah Mapalo helped me to be where I am today, or to become the person I am today. And if I can, I'm a support worker myself, if I can raise it 20 pounds, I just say, you know what, let's go to work and we've got to give in. There's no need for me to ask Noah Mapalo, whereby I know they've only got 70 pounds in their account. And I go and say, oh, can we have 20 pounds for the media? Because I've got a passion and I really want this to work. So I just go out of my way and maybe just fund it myself. I know it makes me feel guilty. The treasurer has told me you shouldn't be doing that, but which other way can I do? And sometimes makes me feel guilty because I feel like, okay, maybe I end up helping my family more because I feel good, like, okay, I'm helping the charity, so I might as well help my family as well. I mean, I don't come from a rich family, but any little helps. So those are some of the challenges that we face. Yeah. So.
And thank you so much for talking a bit more about the fundraising elements of the Noah Mapalo work as well, and how you found yourself sometimes taking on that burden too. Could you talk a little bit more about what fundraising has been like for you, especially balancing between efforts in the UK and Zambia, and what that funding environment looks like? Have you pursued government funding? I believe on your website, you have a PayPal link to your donate page. So you have some sort of crowdfunding element as well. But what does that fundraising process look like for you to kind of keep and sustain your work over time?
In the past, we've had funds from the lottery fund in the UK, we've had that twice, but it's quite restricted because you have to you can only use it in the UK. But the other year, we were very lucky. We had someone who came from Zambia, an artist. So then I did ask them to say, look, this artist who has come, we need to pay him. There was a budget for entertainment, so which we paid him. But then I was like, most people will come. We'll have a lot of people come in. So what do? Do we say they have to pay? Because otherwise it will be packed, because this is a very well-known artist, which was B1 in Zambia. I think our patron Priscilla knows B1. And I was like, it will be packed. So I emailed them and I said, what do? They said, okay, just call it a donation. Charge people, but call it a donation, which we did. And we raised about £800, which some of it still went to the roofing in Zambia. But we didn't finish. Then the roofing didn't finish. We still had a few more classes to cover. We've got 3 classes, so it's covered 1. And then obviously we had Chinyanta Kabaso's Scotland, British Scotland something pageant, unless she explains herself. I can't really get what she wants, something like in Scotland, British, an African pageant or Commonwealth pageant, something like that. And she's the one who went to Zambia this year, in January or February, and she finished off the roofing because through our fundraising. Yeah. So even though we've had that twice, like now in the lockdown, we've had quite a lot of challenges because we can't go out there and do the fundraising events, because we do fundraising events, and that's what we get people together through our social events in Portsmouth, in England, and then in Zambia. That from whatever money we get from those events, that's what goes to Zambia. But now we haven't really done much of those fundraising events. So it's been a challenge. Other than that, the projects have been running in Zambia. Last year, we've done quite well. I think the patron can come on that, what we've done in Zambia so far. And it's been through donations, really, not through our events. Yeah. So maybe you can come on, patron, Mrs. Potts-Chinga. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Daniela. And thank you very much, Priscilla.
Yeah.
Yes, in Zambia, these girls have worked very hard, I tell you, because fundraising is a very big problem. Because one, people don't have disposable incomes of late due to COVID. Obviously, a lot of people have lost jobs. A lot of people are not having money to find spare money. I was suggesting to the group that we should bring on another added activity which is going to help us attract funding. This is in connection with feeding malnourished children. The British they helped us to raise some items. I think people donated items, so we used those items to sell. We sold them, and then that way we raised money to buy the pads for the sewing of sanitary towels. Then we also had another lady from England, I think she's Ghanaian or Nigerian, who also sent donations. But in particular, our own fundraising efforts here, we've been mobilizing to see whether we can hold like lunches, dinner dance, or breakfast meetings. These are in the pipeline now. But before, we've been receiving from England, from her group there, where they sent used clothes, some jewelry, some other items, women's things which they've been using, and selling those here gave us a good amount of money, where we were able to pay for the girls who work in the office. And also we bought materials for them to continue making those parts I mentioned earlier. Yeah.
Thank you for talking about the intersections of the work between Zambia and the UK, actually, because that ties nicely into my next question, which was just what has it been like running a nonprofit in 2 spaces simultaneously? And what has the reaction been to the work locally and beyond as well? Just kind of that relationship between the two locations, and maybe even just sharing a bit about what the nonprofit space looks like between the UK and Zambia as well.
On that one, so locally, like I said before, we get people together. It hasn't been easy, but for example, at the in Zambia, people get together. Like sometimes we say, okay, after the events, I'll give you an example. Last week we had we donated pads to an orphanage. Then after the donations, the Noah Mapalo team went out for lunch. So that was more of socializing and getting together. Sometimes when they're making pads in the office, in the shop, we have workshops of making pads. So that's how they socialize. But here in the UK, like now because of COVID, we haven't been able obviously to go out and socialize and do things. What we've done is we've come up with something what is called, maybe we can show a picture, what is called Let's Get Talking, Noah Mapalo, with Noah Mapalo. Let's Get Talking with Noah Mapalo. So that's how we've been now trying to get people out there to talk about things like anything literally, because like last week we spoke about mental health. So we were talking about mental health, and it was really good. It was brilliant because most people in the lockdown, we've had, they are going through isolation, loneliness. So mental health was really helpful. And we also, when we started 2 months ago, the first month we spoke about insurance. We've realized that during COVID, we've actually learned that most people from the diaspora, they don't have insurances to cover their funerals. So, I don't know how many people have donated money to this year. It's just because they don't have insurances, and we work so hard in the countries, outside of our own homes, our own countries, but we don't have the insurance. So we had to bring in some people to come and educate us about insurance. So this is how we've been able to do like something in the UK, and also something, even though we can't really talk about insurance maybe in Zambia, but we've still been able to work with the UK in that way, virtual events. Next week, I think we are doing this every second week of the month. And next month we've got pampering, where we're talking about you are what you eat and you are how you look, so that people can bring in back that. And we've got psychiatric doctors coming in, we've got other people coming in on board, but it's a virtual event. So this is how we've been able to, even though we are doing projects in Zambia, but we're also doing something in the UK. So this is how we've been able to work between the two countries. So, and here we are recognized by the council. We get invites to go to the mayors. This Christmas, we received a card, Noah Mapalo card, because we are bringing in people together as well at the same time. In as much as, so it's like killing two birds with one stone. So we work in Zambia. Yes, we raise money here, but we're also trying to break the barriers. What is it called again? Breaking barriers and bring diversity and make people feel like sense of belonging, because like especially those from the ethnic minorities. Yeah. So that's how we do it. So we merge the two together.
It's really interesting. And you mentioned a couple of times now, so I'd love to hear more about this, how you've been able to merge your efforts between not only your two locations, but also working with other nonprofits. So you mentioned just now that you've collaborated with other organizations to teach you about insurance, or you mentioned that, I think Miss Commonwealth, you said, helped you to raise funds for the roof project. So how often do you find that you're collaborating with other nonprofits, or maybe just influential figures like Miss Commonwealth would have been? How often do you find yourself doing that? And how have you been able to maintain that support over time as well, by collaborating with other organizations or other people to continue your work?
I think like talking about Noah Mapalo at large, like maybe in the future, the vision is that we work with other organizations. I'll give you an example of when we had the insurance part of it. We had someone from the Ghanaian Association who has done this insurance thing and is also spoken about the people from the Ghanaian Association. So he came to talk to us. So that's how we get, because it's community now to community, and then you start like, okay, there's this Noah Mapalo team, okay, and we can also come in. And the one interesting part of it is that Noah Mapalo is not just about Zambians. I think I mentioned this before. We've got people, it's diversity. That's the one thing that I like about it. And I always say that we are lucky as Noah Mapalo. I'm lucky as a founder of Noah Mapalo, because people who support, they are not just Zambians. So they're from all over the countries. Already we are diverse, but then we also try to promote diversity. So working with other communities or other organizations, it's like, it's not really, it's something that we welcome as well. So already the Ghanaian Association came in to us, the chairman, and spoke about the insurance, and already we are corroborating with them, because we are going back to them and say, can you tell us more about this insurance? Because we don't know. So the community is together, if you know what I mean. So we are bringing that community together. I don't have life insurance myself. So I've gone back to him and said, come on, can you come back and tell me more? And then we've got these other psychiatric doctors from London, through another community session in London. So they introduced me to this lady who's a psychiatric from Nigeria and something like that, and another Zimbabwean doctor. So then they came in to our platform. So then we are all just like collaborating with others. So yeah, promoting each other in a way as well.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you for explaining that with more depth as well. I think that's really helpful. And it's really exciting to hear that there's so many people who are willing to, kind of contribute to the work as well as you've been able to continue over time. And actually, I guess as an extension of that question, then, you talked about the importance of diversity within Noah Mapalo's work, and not just representing Zambia or the UK, but really going beyond that as well to the broader scope of the people who are involved in your work. So this is kind of an extension of the question I asked earlier about how you're able to balance between your short-term goals with your long-term vision. But do you see Noah Mapalo growing beyond just the UK and Zambia? Like, do you have plans to expand beyond those two regions? And if so, where are you planning on moving to next? Is that in the cards to the next maybe five years or so, or is that more of an even longer term goal for the Help Center?
Because that's a good question, because like I said before, we are diverse already in the group. And for me, because this is who I am, I wanted us to start going Ghana, Nigeria, just to say, oh, no. Okay, we are also in Ghana, we are Nigeria. The team said, no, Priscilla, we need to focus on Zambia. Let's finish with Zambia, and then we move. But I was feeling that thing. I'm like, why should Ghanaians help me when I can't help them? That's guilty. But I've got a good, fantastic group. They said, no, we are doing Zambia and we finish with Zambia. Why am I doing Nigeria? Why am I doing Zambia when Nigeria is there? So now the plan and the whole idea was, I remember the pastor saying, you see this as small, this is an international. I'm like, oh, what is he actually talking about? but I now do understand what he was trying to say. So now the plan is that we are focusing on Zambia and the UK. So what we want to do is that once we know that with the help of our patron there, we've achieved what we want to achieve in Zambia, which right now we are making pads. There have been some sewing machines that have been donated, although we need some more machines. Then now we can say, okay, we're trying to now reduce period poverty. This is just an example. Zambia is set. We've got now girls who are making pads and they can distribute the schools. That's our vision. So then trying to say, let's say, for example, want to try and reduce period poverty by 2030. So we know that Zambia is safe. Where is the gap? In Ghana. Okay, we've got one of the Ghanaians in the group. Can we now start going to Ghana? And now the Zambian trainers or Zambian projects, what is it called again? Mrs. Schinga, project director will say, is it okay if we have funds or resources? Can you go to Ghana and train these people? Because what we're trying to do is now to go all over Africa and try and reduce this period poverty. Because imagine if we can have period poverty in the UK, how about the Zambia? I'll give you an example. I've been in that situation myself where I've had to use tissues because I'm in the UK and I didn't have money. When I went to Zambia, I went to the prison. I didn't go to the prisons to give pads. I went for the school girls. However, when I go to Zambia, people are like, "What? You are giving pads to the schoolgirls? Can you please give some to the prisoners because they use newspapers, they use mattresses, they use leaves, they have no pads." And I went in there in Ndola, Zambian Dola prisons, female prisons. They were so grateful. They were grateful. And some of those pads, we made them here ourselves. And some of them were donated by Days for Girls. And I'll tell you how this pad project started. It was a Zimbabwean colleague in the group who said, why don't we do period poverty? I'm like, what are you talking about? What is period poverty? What are you saying? And we started doing that. And this is how it started. But because we are diverse, so she bring in this idea and we did it in the UK. And I myself traveled and took the pads to Zambia. So the ones that we made went to the inmates, the female inmates, and the other ones that were donated by Days for Girls went to the schoolgirls. And we're still doing that. This is why I said, no, we can't. How long? I took, I think 3 times I went to Zambia taking pads, reusable pads. I said, how long am I going to do this? They need to be empowered. So I asked for the sewing machines. That's how the sewing machines, someone also organized sewing machines. We shipped them. It costed us a lot of money. And through fundraisings, we managed to send those sewing machines. And now girls are making their own pads and they're making pads to donate, but it's not enough. We don't have money for the materials. We don't have money for shipping if we have to buy some of the materials from the UK or the United States. There's one material that we have to buy from abroad. So like the patron said, some of them they make, we give them, but some of them we are also trying to sustain the charity itself. We don't have them. And how do we sustain the charity? So some of the clothes that we've sent, we've asked the women, I think I showed you the picture, those were received today in the Baluba area where we have the school, for the women to sell them and bring something small to Noah Mapalo so that they are more responsible. Because what I've learned about empowerment, when I've been giving people things, I've been going to Zambia, they never really take any responsibility for it. They never really pay attention to it. But if you tell them you have to put something small or pay something back, they will appreciate it, and they will what's the word? They'll sort of like work towards the goal than just some of them you give them clothes, they just throw them away because they'll say, I've been in that situation where I take clothes, I give people clothes, they'll be like, but what about food? Because they didn't actually need clothes, they needed food. And it made me feel so guilty because I thought I've given them clothes that they've not actually appreciated. They needed food. So for empowerment, I would say, yes, I've just given instructions to Zambia and said, look, right now, we are not just giving clothes for free, like the patron said. We have to sort of like sell them at a cheap price. Not selling them, we give it to them, they sell it, but they give us something back. So that we are empowering them. Then they know this has to be given back. And then now with the profits that they make, they can do what they want to do. So yeah. So that's what we've been doing. Other than that, it hasn't been easy. We haven't had money, and even the donations that we've been getting from people, shipping is also another problem. But what can we do? It has to be done.
Well, I'm glad you ended on the need for additional support and fundraising,
Donating
because I'm sure people
kind.
who are watching this video would also love to learn more about how they can help. So how can people watching this interview either support or donate, or maybe even get involved if they're nearby as well? Like, what are the best ways people watching this to really contribute and make an impact with Noah Mapalo's work?
I think they can get involved by helping us with, maybe also we're struggling with the website. We're still working on Wix, which we just spoke to some few people. It limits us from getting other people out there to maybe like professional look. They can't look at our website as a professional website. Why? Because we haven't got money to improve it, maybe to WordPress. So people can get involved by maybe helping us making the website better. Those who are into media, there are people who are just there who can say, okay, I can actually build up your website. Because right now we are even trying to fundraise like £1,000 to make our website. Maybe we're thinking that maybe that way we'll have opportunities of funders coming in, or maybe they can also help us by donating towards the website, or maybe just by donating towards the materials, because we need more materials to make pads, because this year our plans is to give more to the inmates, female inmates, if you know what I mean, women prisoners, and also girls, school girls. But we lack materials and we haven't got any funds at the moment. So we're trying to actually come up with a campaign for the materials for the pads. And also, if we have to get it from here, because there are people are willing to donate from here as well, donate the materials, but we don't have money for the shipping. So that will be a challenge, another challenge as well. However, materials can be bought in Zambia, but the problem is that it won't be as the good quality as the ones that we can buy from here, because we are talking about healthy and hygiene as well. So we don't just give the girls anything. We have to give them something that is actually that I can use and feel comfortable. I'm not just going to give because it's a pad. You don't have a pad, you're vulnerable. I have to give them something like of quality and something that I can also use, you know. So this is why there's a material that we normally use, which is PUL, that is not found in Zambia. And this was from the another organization that is called Days for Girls, the one I mentioned before. They are based in the UK, United States. They are quite big. So all they do is reusable pads, and they've taught us the material that they use and that we can use. So we're not just going to buy any material like every other person is making a pad. No, we want, these girls are very important to us and precious because they're the leaders of tomorrow. So we want to look after them. Yeah. So yeah, people can donate by maybe donating towards the materials, or maybe even someone can come out and say, like I said before, we are all mothers and wives, and we don't really have time and we don't really know much about these websites. Someone can come and build the website for us, or someone can donate £1,000 for us to run the website so that we can attract more funders to run our projects. Yeah, thank you.
I'll definitely highlight those things in the caption of the interview itself, and then also just boost it through my social media channel. So hopefully we're able to connect you with some willing and able web designers or donators in that regard as well. And I guess last question here, just so I know we're pretty much over time, so I don't want to take up too much more of your time, but lastly, do you have any tips or any advice for people who would also like to uplift and empower their communities as you've done through the Noah Mapalo Help Center? What are some of the core lessons you learned and some advice you share with people trying to make similar efforts?
All I can say is that for people to go with their vision, and also speak to people, ask the people. I'll give you an example. Mrs. Priscilla there, our patron. I spoke to her yesterday. She gave me, she gave me some good advice. She's newly to the Noah Mapalo. I think she started last year, but she's got a lot of experience about these charities and things like that. And yesterday when she spoke to me, I was thinking about that. She said, don't worry, everything will be okay. You're a small charity. So all I'm saying is speak to people. And I also spoke to friends about my vision. Not everyone will agree with you, but go with your guts, go with what's in your heart, chase the dream. I mean, it wasn't so much for me. It wasn't so much about the dream, but it was so much about something that I grew up with and the experiences that I've had. I didn't come from a rich family, but I came from a middle class family. And I can't say that I've experienced what other people maybe experience, but I've experienced poverty where sometimes we had to sleep on black tea, and maybe with bread with no butter because my dad could not afford it. But what I've seen today is to the extreme that I needed to do something. I said to myself, I'm going to do something about this. I came back to the UK when I saw what I saw in Zambia, and I said I was going to do something about it. And I shared with people. I shared with my husband, and he said, yeah, I think you can do it. I'm like, but what am I going to do? How am I supposed to help these people? As a support worker, I sent money home. I didn't want to start a charity, but I wanted to help somebody. That was my vision, to help somebody out there. I sent money home, and I sent my sisters, my friends were not doing anything. I said, please, can you go to that place where we went, where I saw that there was extreme poverty after maybe I was exposed in the UK? I don't know, but this is something I grew up with. I mean, each time when people ask, what do you want to become? I was like, I want to run an orphanage. I didn't know what an orphanage was, but I knew it was to help people, but I didn't know what it was. And then, yeah, so my friends, when I told my friends, they said, oh, wow, is that what you're doing? We'll also be contributing £50 each, not every month, when we can. So when the desks were donated, I told someone else in Zambia who has a ministry. She said to me, wow, that's very good, because I have some people send me clothes from the States so I can help you. I said, okay, give us the clothes, then we give to these people because they need the clothes. And then when we did that, she sent the clothes to the States. I mean, she sent the pictures to the States, and seeing the children sitting on the blocks of or stones, whatever you can call them. They didn't have desks in the classes. And the people in the States, they said, no, we'll send desks. So they sent desks to Zambia. All we have to do, me and my 3 friends here, support workers, one of them I think wasn't even working, put money together, paid for the truck to take those desks wherever they were supposed to be going. So all I can say is focus, don't give up. You don't have to have a lot of money. Start small, any little helps. That's what I believe. And you know what? When I went to Zambia, I think I mentioned this when the lady called me to say, are you the one who gave me food? I was like, I didn't give you any food. What are you talking about? And then I realized, instead of me going to Debenhams or wherever sell fridges to buy myself a shoe, £50, someone else can benefit from £50. So all I'm saying is that believe in yourself, focus, not everyone else. Some friends have told me, my best friends, they've told me, oh, Priscilla, we don't believe in charities. I said, oh yeah, well, fine. I don't hate them. That's their opinion. But they still support what I do to say, oh, well done, we saw you on Facebook. But they don't donate, they don't do nothing. But it's fine. Believe in yourself. And some people won't believe in what you're doing. And it's true. Some people, some charities, they just milk people's money. It's true. It's okay for people not to believe in you, but believe in yourself. And that's all I can say. And start small. And any little helps. If you give someone a bag of mealie meal, it's something. And yeah, let's teach people also how to fish for themselves. This is why we are doing empowerment. We want to teach people how to fish for themselves, to sustain themselves, not just giving. But yeah, if I die tomorrow, someone will say, she put me in school. That's what I want to be remembered for as well. Yeah. Thank you very much. I hope the patron will run the Noah Mapalo. That's my worry. Who's going to take this up when I die?
Thank you
Yeah.
so much. Thank you so much. This has been an absolutely incredible conversation. I'm really excited to share this with the Uplift and Empower community and beyond as well. And I've certainly learned a lot listening to you share your stories and experiences. And I feel inspired just having this conversation now. So I'm really excited to share this as well. So thank you so much for your time. Thank you both for your time. I know it's quite late where you are, Priscilla. So thank you for joining us and chatting as well. But thank you both. This has been really great.
Okay.
I think she wanted to say something.
Oh, great.
The patron.
I'm saying this is a good initiative, Daniela, and the fact that you can see that, there are people who are trying to help themselves. Even when they have nothing, they still want to give. That's a good spirit which we are born with in Africa. Even if I don't have, I always look at whatever little I have, I must share. That's the spirit we need to have.
That's
Absolutely.
true.
So thank you.
So yeah, if people want to donate, they can follow us on Facebook and also on the website where we have the PayPal donation button. And also, I think we're going to update the account details if people want to give in the in our bank accounts in Zambia or the UK. That will be shared. Or if Daniela, you come up with asking, I can share that with you.
Definitely. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank
Thank you so much. Thank you. Hope to hear from you soon. Thank you.